Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. My name's Murali and I'm going to tell you about my application journey for medical school. So we're still in quarantine and I've been cooped up in my house for a very long time now, so I thought it'd be nice to record this video out here. Also, med school application is a very stressful process, so I thought being out here would be some nice zen, and if you get a bit stressed you can watch the beautiful blooming apple tree. Just enjoy the serenity. Nice. So in this video, I'm not going to talk too much about what I did in college in terms of my pre-med schedule and my workload with that. I'll make another video about that later on. I'll just give a brief overview of that and move on to the actual application for this video. Yeah, I was an engineering major in college, and then I decided to go into medicine, and so I took my MCAT in my junior year in that January, and then it was in that following summer, I think that was January 2019. That was January 2019 where I took the MCAT. And that following summer, May, June, was when applications were opening and starting. So I submitted to both AMCAS and TMD-SAS. AMCAS is the overall American medical school application service, and TMD-SAS is the same thing as that, but for Texas schools only. So that includes UT Dell in Austin, UT McGovern in Houston, UT Southwestern in Dallas, and UT San Antonio, and a lot of other schools in Texas. I think there's 8 schools for TMD-SAS, and I went to school for undergrad in Texas. So I thought it would be a good idea to apply to all of those schools, so I did. In terms of AMCAS, I applied to schools only in the Midwest, mainly Ohio, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, where I'm from, and some other schools here and there. So I applied to 20 schools overall, and I sent in my primaries in early to middle of June, and then I waited to get my secondaries back. Tip for everybody, this is one thing that I learned overall, you need to get these applications out and the secondary and the primary application out as quickly as possible. That bird. You want to be part of the video, bird? Okay. Nice. Okay, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, schedule. So in terms of sending in your applications, you need to make sure to send in those applications as early as possible. I sent my primary in like early to middle of June. I'd say middle to late June actually. And then I waited to get my secondary applications back in order to start working on the actual secondaries. So I applied to 20 schools. I think I got 18 secondaries. So I didn't realize how little they cut people between the primary and the secondary, and I think that's a really important thing to note. So when you've submitted your primaries, you should almost immediately be starting working on your secondary applications so that you can get a head start and then submit your secondaries as early as possible. Because in order to get even processed and available for an interview, you need to have your secondary application done. The earlier you do that, the earlier they'll get back to you with an interview. So I applied in June for that. I spent almost all of July and maybe half of August working on the secondaries. I did some batches in middle of July. I did some batches in end of July, early August. Week by week I would submit a few here and there. But I'd say that was the wrong thing to do. I think you should try to just get them all done as fast as possible. Obviously you want to put in a good amount of effort and make them nice, but it's important to also do them very quickly so that they can get processed. I almost think getting them done earlier is more important than waiting an extra few weeks in order to finish them and make them perfect. I think those 2 weeks could have been better used maybe for letting the schools process the application and then actually consider me for interviews. So once I submitted my secondary applications in middle of August, it was mainly a waiting game. I went back to school for my senior year of undergrad, and it was honestly very stressful because I wasn't getting any responses from any medical schools. From like August to maybe November, December, I wasn't getting any sort of responses. From that point, I was feeling very stressed and sad and very disappointed because I spent so much time over the summer writing 20 applications and I got almost nothing. So that winter break, I decided to send an update letter to some of my med schools that I was most interested in, and I sent those out in end of December. And then I didn't hear anything for a while. I think it was January 25th or 26th That was a Monday. That morning I woke up and in my email I saw an interview invite to Medical College of Wisconsin. Monday, January 26th was when I got my interview invite. They said you can schedule your interview here, and so I clicked on the link, and then I was looking through the calendar for available spots, but I wasn't seeing any except for that Friday, January 31st. So I was like, okay, oh crap. This is going to be very quick turnaround because I had essentially 5 days. So I quickly scheduled a flight. There's a bee floating around. Nice. It's a pretty big honeybee though. Hopefully if I stay still like this, I'll be okay. Oh, it's coming. There aren't any flowers, or the flowers are over there, buddy. Silly bee. Oh, and it's gone. Oh, it's going the other way. Gonna check out the apple trees. Right, so those 5 days were extremely stressful for me. I was preparing for my interview a lot. I'll make a video more about what I did for my interview prep later on if you guys are interested in that. Those days were very jam-packed with me practicing my content for my interview, doing mock interviews with friends, and stuff like that. My interview comes around and it was honestly a lot more chill than I expected. I had 2 interviews with one student and 1 faculty member. I think that's how a lot of them are. Alright, I moved so that you could see me. You might not have wanted to see more of me, but this is what you get. My interview, right. Yeah, in terms of my interview, it was actually very chill. It was very nice. I just had some conversations. It was very conversational at MCW, at Medical College of Wisconsin, with my interviewers. They asked me about why medicine, my thoughts on the medical industry as it is right now, some things that I would improve and stuff like that. Or I asked some questions about MCW, and it was very back and forth. It was very nice. I emailed my interviewers back. I definitely recommend doing that for almost any sort of interview. Make sure you thank them for their time. And so it was back to the waiting game once I went back home. I wasn't confident that I would necessarily get it for sure. So I was preparing for a gap year, doing some research in Houston or something like that. And I was sending out my resume on job application sites and for things like that. CW actually, they told me at the interview that I could expect a result in 4 weeks or something like that. And then the last week of February rolls around, and that was honestly the most stressful week of my life. It was so bad. Every morning I would check my email and be like, is it there yet? Is it there yet? And it never was. But then that Friday, that was the last day that I expected it would come, so I knew it was going to come Friday. I think it was Friday 28th or 29th. I'm not quite sure on the date there. Actually, when I got my email, I was out with friends, actually. I was going to dinner with my friends. I was in the car, and we were driving towards Chewy's, which is this Tex-Mex place. So shout out Chewy's. I was in the car, and I'm with my friends, and I get this email notification. And I don't know why I opened it then. I was planning on just not opening any emails until I got back home because I didn't if I had a bad decision, I would have been very sad for dinner, which would have not been great for company. I decided to open it, and lo and behold, I got into MCWs, and I was so excited. That dinner was actually a lot better than I could have imagined. I'm super happy about that. Yeah, so I had 1 interview and 1 application decision, which was an acceptance. So I'm so grateful for that. This journey was really stressful, but I'm happy that it ended up being successful. More than that, I wanted to make this video to show those of you who are applying that not everyone who applies has a perfect application, right? I submitted my application late. My stats were not necessarily perfect, but I had 1 chance, 1 opportunity, to quote Eminem, and I seized it. So I think that's an important lesson to learn in life. Whatever may come your way, you got to take every opportunity you can to succeed. Good luck to all of you who are applying this cycle or for any future cycles to come. But yeah, it's a very stressful process. You will be okay. Things will work out. I've been where you are in your shoes. It all ends up all right. So things I would have changed in my application journey would have been to submit things later. I think I would have changed the schools that I applied to. I applied to a fair number of state schools where I'm out of state, like Texas. While I went to school in Texas, I didn't have Texas residency, so it didn't really make sense for me to apply looking back. I also applied to other state schools in the Midwest. I shouldn't have done that. I should have focused more on private schools across the US. I think that would have been better in terms of responses. Submit early and choose your schools wisely. That's all the content I have for today's video, guys. If you liked the video, make sure to leave a like down below. And if you want to see more content about my med school applications or just my time in med school, which is going to begin this fall, feel free to leave a comment or subscribe to my videos. I very much appreciate any of that. Have a good day. See you in the next video, guys.